Hi everyone, today is going to be a different kind of video and I'm actually going to show you my favourite books, and this was requested by the lovely Emma, so hi to you. And I have my all-time favourite books, which if I show these you absolutely have to read, and then I have books which I thought were really good and I do recommend them, but they're not, you don't have to. But the first ones I'm going to show you, you must read them, and you need to get yourself on Amazon in the next tab and be ready to order all these books, alright? So anyway, sorry about my hair as well. It's a bit flat, which is really annoying, but I don't want to put spray or anything in it because I'm trying to be good to my hair. But anyway, this isn't about hair, it's about books. So anyway, my all-time favourite books in the whole entire world is a series, and there are 4 books in this series, and you probably haven't heard of them because I don't know anyone else who has. But the first book is called Ingo, and it's by Helen Dunmore, and I read these a few years ago. They were my sister's, and I saw them, and it had a mermaid on the front, and I'm really into mermaids. I love anything to do with mermaids. If I could be a mermaid, I would. So I just picked it up and I read it, and I was so in love with it, and I bought the next 3. So it starts with Ingo, and then there's the Tied Knot, and then the Deep, that's still got the sticker on, and then the Crossing of Ingo, and that was in hardback, and the rest are paperback. But if you like mermaids and you like the sea and you like kind of, I wouldn't say make-believe, it's not your classic mermaid story, basically, I don't want to give it away, but basically the girl in this, they live in Cornwall, and she has a brother, and then something happens to their family, and it is kind of mermaids, but it's not your classic like traditional mermaids swimming around looking in mirrors, combing their hair and things like that. It's a really deep, and it's really emotional, and I just absolutely love this series, and the last book brought me to tears. Like, they connect so well and they're written really well. I do actually need to read these again because I actually love it so much, and I just 100% recommend these books. Then the next series you have probably all heard of, and it is the Hunger Games trilogy. So you have the Hunger Games, Catching Fire and Mockingjay. I'm a bit annoyed that I have this edition. I wanted them all to match, but hey ho, because it's really weird, right? I ordered this on Amazon. I had no idea what it was about, and I read it and I actually fell in love with it, and the other 2 as well. I read this in like a week, and the other 2 I read really quickly as well. You might have read this, you might have seen the film. If you haven't done any, then I recommend you read the books before you see the film, because they miss out so much in the film, which is quite annoying, but obviously they can't fit everything in. The book brought me to actual tears, and oh, I just can't. This is one of them books where you get so emotionally attached to, and you get attached to the characters and everything, and it's really intense. You've probably all heard of it before, so I'm not gonna explain about it properly. Mockingjay was good as well. Definitely recommend it, obviously, because you have to read the whole 3, and the film's coming out this year, so I'm very excited for that. And then, oops, I meant Catching Fire, that was the next one. Mockingjay is the 3rd one in the series, and I think my sister's reading it, that's why it has that the bookmark. This made me cry so much. I just can't. Books just make me cry. The ending, oh my god, if you've read it, private message me and we can talk about it, because I still can't get over it, and I just don't know what to do, because it's so sad, and it shouldn't have ended that way. I'm really upset that it did end that way, because you know, you just fall in love with a character and then you're rooting for them, and then that goes and happens. No, it's not cool. So that's the Hunger Games trilogy. And then there is Divergent, which my friend recommended it to me, and she was saying about it, and I thought, oh, that sounds quite good. And then I left it a while before I actually ordered it, because I finished a book I was reading and thought, oh, I need something else to read, so I just ordered this. And again, it's one of them books where you're attached to the characters, and I just loved it. I read this in like a week, and it's quite similar to the Hunger Games, so if you like that kind of genre, then I think that you would definitely like this. This has a second book called Insurgent, which I have ordered and I will be reading as soon as it arrives. And yeah, this is by, the Hunger Games books were by Suzanne Collins, and this is by Veronica Roth, and they're making this into a film as well, and I always have to read books before I see the film or it totally ruins it for me. But this is definitely worth reading. It's really intense and you just don't want to put it down, which I love in a book. So that's Divergent. And then the next book I have is by Sarah Winman, and it's called When God Was a Rabbit, and I picked this up about a year ago in Waterstones because it was 3 for 2, and I just really liked the title. I thought it sounds kind of cool. And the blurb just says this is a book about a brother and a sister. It's a book about childhood and growing up, friendships and families, triumph and tragedy, and everything in between. More than anything, it's a book about love in all its forms. This book, it's in 2 parts. So the first part is when it's in the point of view from a little girl, and then the second half is when she grows up. And you know what, this first half of this book gripped me so much, and I couldn't put this down either, and I'm so glad that I bought this. And you can really connect to everything that is said in this book, and it's really emotional, and it's like actually heart-wrenching, and the end is quite sad as well, but it's not heartbreaking. But it's just a really good book. I definitely recommend it. And I don't want to give it away, but the fact that they say when God was a rabbit, it's like when you're a child everything's easy in a way, and then when you grow up, like, it's not. But it's really good, so definitely recommend that. And then this is one which I recently finished, and this is now a film as well, and I must say the book is better than the film, but the film still brought tears to my eyes. And this is called Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks. And this is the first Nicholas Sparks book I have read. And I know he's done Dear John, The Last Song and The Notebook, which I've seen the film for all 3. And The Last Song and Dear John are one of my all-time favourite films. And The Notebook's good as well, because Ryan Gosling's in it. But anyway, this book is so intense and emotional. The first few chapters are kind of boring. It took me a while to get into it, but when I was into it I couldn't put it down, and I absolutely love it. I had to see it the second it came out in the cinema because the book just compelled me so much. So it's about a girl who turns up into a small town, and she's basically trying to get away from something, and then she falls in love with somebody, and he's trying to figure out like who she is and everything. And the story is so good, and it's so intense, and you just want to scream, and like you do get attached to her, so you don't want her to be hurt or anything, and it's really good. Bit of romance in there, which is always nice, and very twisted, I would say, towards the end, but it's definitely worth a read. The film is a lot different. Well, it's not a lot different. They miss out a lot of things, and one bit in the book, oh my gosh, I just couldn't. I literally was, you know when you want to scream when you find something out. Oh my gosh, you just need to read this, it's so good. There's a little girl in this called Kristen, and in the film they changed her name to Lexi, which I don't understand why, which is a bit weird, but anyway, so that's that one. Sorry I'm rambling, I just can't get enough of these books. And then the next book is Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, I think that's how you say it. This is a film as well. Cried at the book. I cried and cried and cried and cried at the film. I cannot tell you how emotional this book is. I think it's more for young adults or adults, because it's really quite horrible actually reading this. It's about a girl who gets murdered, and it's her point of view from heaven, but it's like not your average heaven, it's like her own heaven, and then like her family don't know who murdered her, and then they try and figure it out, and it's so horrible because you just think like, that's just what made me cry, the fact that her family and everything, it's just so sad. The book is a lot better than the film because again they miss out so many things, and I always think that the books are better than the film, and I read this really quickly again and I definitely just recommend that. And then there's The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen I don't know, I can't even read that properly, but there you go. They made this into a film. The film was shockingly bad. I'm disgusted with the film. They missed out so much, and I think the actors were not casted correctly, and you can't, because this is written in a journal, this is him writing in his diary. I don't think you can portray how someone's written diary is. I don't think that you can make that into a film in a good way. But the film's bad basically, but the book, oh my gosh, I read this in one day. It took me 6 hours to read this whole book, and I literally did not move except to pee, and I think I ate once, but I couldn't put it down, and you just get so attached to the main character. And if you've ever felt like depressed or upset, then I think, not upset, but if you've ever felt like depressed or lonely or something like that, then I think you really connect with Charlie, who is the main character. And it is quite sad at some points, but it's a really good book, so I definitely recommend that. And then of course is Harry Potter. Now my two favourites, obviously they're all good, I recommend that you read them all, but my favourite is The Half-Blood Prince and The Deathly Hallows. So they're my two favourites. Again, they miss out so much in the films. You can never go wrong with reading a book, so if you haven't read the books, I do recommend you did. I'd seen most of the films before I even read the books, and even though you're reading it again, it's still like a new experience, which is really good. So they're all my amazing books which you absolutely have to read. And then the next few books I'm going to show you are books which I personally love and which I think you should read if you get the chance. So there's Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, and this is a classic book and it's got a really nice story. It's really thin, so it won't take you long to read. The storyline's really nice. It's kind of about, I wouldn't say love, but about friendship basically. Most people read this in school, but I didn't get to. And then Katy Perry has a song saying this love's too strong like mice and men. So because of that, I absolutely had to read the book and I absolutely loved it. It was very sad at the end, but most books are very sad at the end. I don't think I can take much more of this. But anyway. And then there's The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time by Mark Haddon. And I read this when I was a lot younger, so if you're my age, which is now 21, I don't know if this would interest you, but as a teenager this was really good. So it's not your average book, so the chapters go up in prime numbers, so it starts with 2 and then the next one is 3, and it's basically about a boy and his dog gets killed and he's trying to figure out who killed the dog, but I think he's autistic or there's something wrong with him, and then he's not really getting on with his dad and all this drama happens, and he's quite sad a lot of the time and he needs a lot of help, but it's a very good book. I haven't read it in a while, like I said, but yeah, I think it's something different and it's really good. And then the next book I have is by Linwood Barclay and it's called Too Close to Home. Now if you like thrillers, I definitely recommend Linwood Barclay. On the back it has No Time for Goodbye, which is the first book that I read by him, and that book was amazing. You get, like I said, you get attached to the characters and you just want to know what's happened. And these are thrillers, so this one, there is from the point of view of a dad. His son's best friends with someone, and then they get murdered and they live next door to them, so his son kind of gets blame and everything, and there's all these different things that link up to each other, and it's just such an interesting book, and you want to find out what's happened and why and how this person's linked with this person, and it's a really good book. But No Time for Goodbye is even better than this, and it's just so emotional, and I want to read more by Linwood Barclay. So I have a collection of books which I need to read, but after that I'll be making some orders for some more books. And also there's an author called Darren Shan, and he did a vampire series, and then he did a monster series, and then he's got another vampire series. The first vampire series was called, the first book was called A Vampire's Assistant, and they actually made it into a film, which was kind of rubbish, but the book was really good, and it's in a series. I think there's like 12 books or so, and I read them when I was in year 11, so I think I was about 16. So if you're younger and you like vampires and things like that, I would recommend reading those. They're really easy to read and they're very intense, and it makes you want to read the next one and see what happens, and it's a really good storyline. And then there was the monster one as well, which was good. I can't remember what that series was called, and the fourth book of that made me cry. A lot of books make me cry, you know. I have a lot of books coming up which I'm going to be reading, so I'll probably do another book video telling you all about those. And I'm sorry it's been long, but I hope that you like this video, and if you want to ask me about any of the books, then just leave me a comment or inbox me, and please leave me your favourite book in the comment section below, because I'm a massive bookworm and I'm always looking for new books to read. So just leave me a comment, and I hope you like this video, everyone, and especially Emma who requested this. So that's it, and I'll see you in my next video, and thank you for watching. Bye!